Welcome to Seasoned, everybody. I'm Chef Plum. My co-host Marisol, she's out this week, but no worries. We've got a really, really fun show. As a matter of fact, it's one of the shows I've been looking forward to most at doing. And when we started doing Seasoned, I said we have to 100% do a beer show. I'm a massive beer fan. I think our state is becoming a beacon for great beer all across the world. So I'm excited today to be doing a beer show. And listen, if you've got a favorite, I want to hear about it. If you've got a favorite brewery, if you've got a favorite winter beer, even a summer beer, I want to hear all about it now. So give us a call, 888-720-9677. The number is 888-720-9677. Or if you're like me and like to have letters mixed in with your numbers, it's 888-720-WNPR. Our phone lines are open, so give us a call. Let's talk beers. Let's talk favorite breweries. Let's talk favorite brewers. Let's talk brewery ingredients. Let's even talk food and beer. I love all of these things together. Later in the show, we're going to have a great guest with us. I'm going to spend some time talking with a pioneer in the Connecticut brewery world. Elisa Bowens-Mercado is the owner of Rhythm Brewing Company in New Haven, and she's going to share a bit of her beer journey in the state with us, as well as her newest beer. And the funny part about that beer is it might be connected to a very special day. But first, our guest I'm going to bring on the program right now is a gentleman who has a chemical engineering degree from the University of New Hampshire and started his brewing career by finding a home brewing kit in his closet. Beers like Hog Lager, Ginger Ninja, Hazy Ale, and of course the gold winner at the World Beer Cup, the Granola Brown Ale. Friends, this guy is an icon when it comes to beer in my mind. Please say hello to one of the owners and the head brewer over at Black Hog Brewing Company, Tyler Jones. Tyler, welcome to Seasoned.
Thank you so much. Officially, I go by Lord of the Liquid. It's kind of my official title. Yes. If you want to go by that,
I'm gonna make that note right now in there. Lord of the Liquid. We'll just change that right now.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh man, I'm excited to talk to you. You and I, listen, we haven't been together in a while. We made clams together a few years back.
Oh, man, that was some good times. I mean, making some clams. I believe it was swag. Was that 2-3 years ago? We made some swag clams. They were really nice. Yeah.
Nice. Well, listen, I mean, beer and food go hand in hand, that's for sure. But, I think one of the things that I found most interesting when I talked to you about beer is kind of the science behind it, but there's also an art behind it as well. Can you touch on kind of the two and how they cross-section together?
100%. I mean, beer is 50% art and 50% science. It's all blended together. If you're talking about the whole science side of what's going on, there's biochemistry going on within the mash tun where you have different enzymes working at different temperatures, creating fermentable and unfermentable sugars. You have the alcohol extracting oils out of the hops within dry hopping. There's a whole bunch of science going on in there.
Right.
The art side is kind of the really exciting side of beer where it's you have to really know what's going on the science side to then be able to all right, where can I tweak and where can I make this beer better than it was last time and make a really amazing liquid?
You guys have made some pretty amazing beers. I have a couple here I'm just tasting. And listen, I got to tell you what, right now I want everyone to know that I'm going to talk to great brewers. I'm going to have a couple sips of beer. And I know that, listen, this is my burden and someone's got to carry it. So I'll be the guy that does it, everybody. So don't worry. I'm going to have beer and talk to you about it. That's what I want to talk really quick about, of course, Granola Brown Ale. This beer won a gold medal. Talk about this beer. I'm having a sip of it right now. It's delicious.
Yeah. So, Granola Brown was, we started in 2014. The landscape at that time in the beer world was IPA. So my father-in-law, Steve Simonson, who's probably listening right now, he, whenever I came to visit him, I was visiting my future father-in-law at that point. I was just dating my now wife, but I always used to bring him a case of the Old Brown Dog from Smutty Nose because it was his favorite beer that I made when I was living up in New Hampshire.
Because you worked there as well, right? You were the head brewer at Smutty Nose?
Yeah,
right?
So I was head brewer at Portsmouth Brewery, which was a sister company to Smutty Nose at the time. And then I worked at Smutty Nose for a little bit as a shift brewer as well. But I always used to bring, a case of the 12-ounce long neck bottles from Smutty Nose down. And he really loved the brown ales, and it was really kind of our connection point to us. And then when Black Hog started, friends and family, we all asked all of our friends and family, hey, we're starting a business, we want to invest in our company. And, all of our 100% friends and family with Black Hog got started up in the beginning, which is great. And Steve was one of our investors. I was like, don't worry, Steve, I'll make sure to make a brown ale for you. So in my mind, IPA world, I was expecting one of our IPAs to become our number one seller. But Granola Brown just took off, and it was just this oatmeal-based brown ale. It has both malted and flaked oats in there. We actually have now tweaked the recipe. We're actually using local flaked oats from Thrall Malting here in Connecticut,
Oh,
which
very cool.
has really changed the beer and made it even better. But using the oat malt as well as the flaked oats gives this beer this really luscious mouthfeel without it being cloyingly sweet. And it allowed me to play with other malts on the back end to kind of give some raisin notes, some chocolate notes, some coffee notes, and have it just be this really like full-bodied experience of a flavor profile, but still make it easy drinking. And that's kind of where I think how Granola Brown just did so well for us. It is a full-bodied, beautiful brown ale, but you can drink it year-round because it's not thick, it's not cloying, it's not going to hang on your palate forever.
It's a delicious beer. It's one of my go-tos, when I'm just hanging out at the house or having a beer on the back patio or making pizzas. I love it. I think it's delicious. A place I want to start, Tyler, and it's going to sound, I don't want to sound layman or something like that, but I think we all, you hear interviewers with different, interviews talked with different brewers and things like that, and it almost assumes that everybody, they kind of jump in the middle of the interview, I feel like. Like, no one ever just says, let's talk about the process from the beginning to the end. Like, in layman's terms, talk about the beer brewing process. Where do you start? Where does it end?
I mean, beer is a batch process. I mean, it's kind of like, I mean, COVID times, everyone has tried to make bread. You can't walk into a bread recipe and be like, all right, I'm going to try to make this sourdough, like beautiful sourdough loaf. And then halfway through, like, never mind, I want to make this whole wheat loaf, so it's like, it's a batch process. You got to know what you're doing from the beginning to the end. So you basically have this ratio of malts you're going to mix together. They're going to go through, malts are a malted barley most of the time.
What are you reading my mind? That's where I was going immediately. Talk about what a malt is first. But yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so malted barley. So any cereal grains are barley, wheat, rye, oats. They can go through the malting process. So this happens offsite. We don't do this in-house. There's a lot of maltsters around the country / around the world that do this very well, and we buy pre-malted grain here at Black Hog Brewing. But the malting process is you take the seed of the barley or the wheat or the oat plant, and it goes through the malting process. So that seed gets steeped in hot water, which right around now, you're going to start germinating your seeds and getting ready for like planting for the spring. So basically you germinate these seeds, they're going to start their growth cycle, have the little rootlet comes out of the bottom of them. So that's step one, is you germinate your seeds. But then you take these germinated seeds and they go into a kiln. And then the moisture content, along with the time and temperature that are within these kilns, is going to give this variation of different types of malts you're going to get. So if you our base malt is two-row barley, which is the barley plant that grows in rows of two all the way up the stalk. It has a much bigger, plumper grain, has really great starch components. But that's going to go in, and then basically they're going to go into the kiln nice and like a lower temperature and basically get all the water out of them, and then they'll finish them off. So it's a really lightly roasted malt. And like that is just going to give you the alpha and beta amylase that are created during the malting process to help the rest of the process go along. But you get into a whole slew of specialty malts where you get grains that go into that kiln at a much higher moisture content. The heat of the kiln is going to like crystallize some of the sugars that were created, making caramel malts. You have other ones like roasted barley itself goes straight into the kiln without having it gone through the malting process at all. So, I mean, there's just all these different layers of malts that the maltsters make for us that we're able to choose from. And we're able to blend all of these malts together to create this beautiful like malt bill. And the malt bill is kind of the base of what a beer is going to turn into, is the malt bill.
Okay. And then also you have tons of different things that go in there as well. The different types of yeast that can make a difference.
Oh yeah. I mean, we're not even in the brew house yet.
Yeah.
So so you got this different, like all these different type of malts. We're going to mill those in. The mill itself is going to crack open these malts and expose all of these starches. This milled grain is going to get put into what's called a mash tun. The mash tun you can combine with hot water. That hot water is going to reactivate those enzymes that were created during the malting process. To be super technical, alpha and beta amylase are the two big enzymes that are working during the brewing process.
Wow.
And beta amylase is creating very fermentable sugars, and alpha amylase is creating unfermentable sugars. And there's a temperature range that you're shooting for within your mash tun to create those different sugars within that mashing process. But you mash in, you mix all this hot water and milled grain together, and it's creating what's called the mash. And those enzymes go to work, converting all the starch from whether it's your barley, your wheat, your rye, your oats, Going to convert those starches into sugars. Those sugars might be fermentable. Those sugars might be unfermentable. But then the sugar water solution at that point that has been extracted is called wort, W-O-R-T.
Yeah.
And that wort gets run off into the kettle. And at this point, you have this beautiful growth media. It has it has sugars, it has amino acids, it has just like microbiological could grow in this growth media. But that's why we boil it. We make sure that we kill anything that might be in there. We kill any sort of like weird bacteriums. Like the boiling process does sterilize the wort, which is the most important process of the brewing that a lot of people don't understand, because we want to make sure that downstream, the only thing growing is that yeast that we're going to pitch later. But the fact that we're boiling that wort, we have heat now that we can add hops to. So hops get added into the boil, and then hops get extracted, whether they get extracted some bitterness or they get extracted the hop flavor oils or the hop aromatic oils, all depending within that boiling process when you're adding them. Then you have that boiling at this point called bittered wort that goes through a heat exchanger, gets cooled down so that we can pitch yeast on it. Because as brewer, I don't make beer. I make wort. I make sugar water. The yeast is actually what makes the beer. So I make this sugar water solution. I cool it down to a temperature profile that yeast strain can use and actually convert into alcohol for me, put into a fermenter, add my yeast, and then I let it go. So the brewing process is 8 hours. Fermentation takes anywhere from 2 weeks to 4 weeks, depending what you're making.
I tell you, it's amazing when you think about how much science is involved when it comes to doing this stuff. I mean, beer itself is a very scientific process, as you can hear. And, we're here on Seasoned. We're a big-time science show. That's what we do. We're a big science show. But amazing what happens with this is how much change that happens in there. I want to talk seasonality really quick, Tyler. Then I'm going to take a call if you don't mind, because the phone lines are lighting up. What makes a great winter beer? Are there different spices involved in that? And, what kind of beers do people like now?
Seasonality is super important. I mean, you want to be able to enjoy beer. I mean, it's winter. You want to sit by a fire. You want to sit by, it's cold outside. You want to sit inside by a fire and enjoy a beer. Normally for winter beer, you want a darker beer that has more, not necessarily that all darker beers have more body or more, mouthfeel to them, but you want this more thick, luscious beer.
A little bit heavier.
And then usually you want a little higher ABV too. You want that higher alcohol because you want that warming sensation going on in the winter.
Right.
And then beyond that, yes, you can add the spices and different flavors and components beyond that too. But I mean, I think the true essence of a quote unquote winter beer would be that more mouthfeel, some sort of darker roasted malt, and then a little higher ABV than you would want in the summer for sure.
Nice. And of course, we're looking for everybody's shout outs here on Season today. You can give us a call at 888-720-9677 or 888-720-WNPR. We're joined right now by head brewer and owner of Black Hawk Brewing Company, Tyler Jones. Let's talk to Ed here in Middletown. Ed, welcome to Seasoned.
How's it going? I want to talk about my favorite brewery, which is Forest City. It's a tiny little brewery, family owned. Chris Coughlin is the brewer. He makes terrific beer. The thing about Chris is that he's so concerned about quality that he's resisted the temptation to go out to contract bidding to get his great formulas made into retail beer, in the grocery stores.
Right.
And I think as a result, his care for it shows up in the beer, and it's really terrific. Plus, it's a nice place to go have a beer when it's open. Excellent,
Ed. I appreciate that. I'm going to check that place out. Tyler, you ever heard of those guys? Of course you have. You know everybody.
Googling right now. I haven't though.
Forest City Brewers. We got to check those guys out. We have to give them a Google and see where they're at. Hey, listen, if you're waiting on the phone line, hang in there just a little bit longer. We're going to take a short break. I'm going to get to you guys. Chris, Mike, I see you on hold. We're going to get right there to you. On the other side of the break, we're going to spend a few minutes with a brewer known as Lady Lager. Tyler, she's a friend of yours, right? I'm guessing she is. Elisa Bowens-Mercado joins us on the show to share a bit of her story, and we've got something special to celebrate, too. I'm Chef Plum. You're listening to Seasoned, our live monthly call-in show right now. So give us a call. We're talking about brewery and brewing. We'll see you guys in a second. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Season. I'm Chef Plum, and if you're just joining us, Midas Castro is out this week. Tyler Jones is the master brewer from Black Hawk Brewing Company in Oxford and New Haven. He's my guest for the hour, so don't worry. you're in really good hands. I want to jump to a call really quick before we bring our next guest on. I've got Chris from West Haven. Chris, you want to talk about Two Roads? What you got for us?
Yeah, I was calling because my favorite beer, Two Roads, made a black IPA a few years ago.
I remember that.
That was an amazing balance between the hoppiness of the IPAs and the malts of the nut brown ales and those.
Yeah, that was a
great
great
beer. And I was very
beer.
disappointed that was fantastic. I think that was my favorite beer ever. And I used to swing by Two Roads every once in a while to complain. They actually came out with it last year, but for some reason they didn't share it with the liquor stores. You had to drive down to get it.
Well, we got. We should start a whole maybe get some signatures and get those over to them and get that beer remade. That's for sure. Tyler, did you ever have that one?
No, I mean, the Black IPA as a style is amazing. There was a select few, myself included, that really enjoy that style. But the caller mentioned like distribution. I mean,
yeah,
going to distribution is really hard with a Black IPA right now. But the beer is gorgeous. I mean, if you think about it, back when it first came out, it was the West Coast people tried to claim it as their own, as the Cascadian Dark Ale.
Yeah. But
it was really invented by like Greg Noonan out in Vermont at Vermont Pub and Brewery before, rest in peace, before he passed away. But yeah, I love the style. I mean, with the hazy IPA landscape we're in right now, getting a black IPA out to distribution, I can see why they didn't do that and made them drive to you. But now you're saying it, I would love to make one here at Black Eye Brewing Company too.
Hey, there we go. That sounds like a plan, right? That's what we should do.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Hey, you guys can give us a call too, 888-720-WNPR or 888-888-720-9677. Talk about your favorites. Tell us what beers you like, what breweries you're into. We're going to get to a bunch of phone calls here in just a second. But right now, I want to spend a few minutes celebrating a pioneer in the Connecticut brewing world. Elisa Bowens-Mercado is the state's first black female craft brewer. She's the owner of Rhythm Brewing in New Haven. And plus, listen, today's a very special day. It's her birthday. Elisa, welcome to season. How are you?
Thank you so much for having me. Yes, I turned 21 again.
Yay! 21.
Yay.
Hey, here's the good news. It's great you can make beer now and you can taste it. That's good news.
Exactly. I'm excited to be joining you here today. So thank you for the invitation.
100%. I'm excited to meet you and talk about your story a little bit. You started Rhythm Brewing back in 2018 and you're crazy busy. Your phone hasn't stopped, right?
You know what? We've had such success with the brand and the beers. People have really rallied behind us because we did a couple of things different coming into the beer space. We started making lagers. No one was making really talking or making craft lagers. We were very adamant about that because I'm Lady Lager because I love lagers, but
the Lady Lager is your nickname, by the way. We're going to talk about that as well. But that's kind of you're affectionately known as Lady Lager, which, by the way, is a fantastic nickname. My nickname is Plum. It's a fruit. If I could have picked my own, it would have been something cooler. But you got Lady Lager.
Thank you. Yeah, I did get Lady, and I don't complain about that. I love that. I go to beer festivals and I'll hear Lady Lager being screamed from across the way, and so awesome. I so appreciate it. But it's been an amazing journey. We've been doing this for about 2.5 years, and we just wanted to change up the industry. We wanted to, diversify it, inclusion. We want more women brewing. We want more people of color brewing. And my whole thing was, I'll be very honest with you, if I was going to consume something, I want to own it. So I just said, let me, just throw in my hat in the ring for this. And let's just start cranking out some, lagers in the midst of all of these IPAs that are out here.
Well, I want to tell you, because I just tasted this delicious Rhythm Brewing unfiltered lager. It's a delicious beer. It's amazing.
Thank you.
What made you start with doing a lager?
My grandmothers were both beer drinkers, God rest their souls. And they used to drink the little ponies of Miller High Life. I don't know if you remember those little bottles, glass bottles.
Of course I remember that. Listen, bless your heart. I'm so glad. Listen, I'm a chef. I remember all of those. Trust me. Those were, are you kidding me? The champagne of beers.
The champagne of beers. And so I was like, my grandmothers are like rock stars. I'm like, they're beer drinkers. And so I'm paying homage to them because it was like fast forward. I would go to all of these beer festivals, like on my downtime from my salsa dancing. And I'd be like at these beer festivals and no one really had a lager. I will be very honest with you. And this is a funny story. One day we're at Cape Cod at a beer fest and I looked over at my husband and I go, do you think they have like a Bud Light here? And he goes, you can't say that here. And and I just and so on the ride home, he said I was very quiet, which you could probably tell I'm never quiet. And he goes, what is the matter? And I go, I'm going to make my own beer. And that was about 6 years ago. And game over. I just literally started researching the industry. So that's why I started making lagers, because I knew that there was a need in New England for a classic craft lager, but with flavor.
It is delicious, and I'm enjoying a little bit of it now. But when it comes to making these beers, do you have a flavor profile that you looked for, or is there something like, are you basing it off of kind of what those beers were when you were a kid?
Yeah, you know what? A combination of both. I have been so fortunate to have some of the best in the industry, and Tyler from Black Hog has been a great mentor. But I had pilot batches made when I first started. So, you know, I was with Armada out in Woolkit for a bit. So I told him what I wanted. I said, I want a lager that's not watered down, because lagers get a bad rap. I don't care what anybody says. The craft beer people are like, ugh, I'm not drinking a lager. And I'm like, but if you make a really good lager and you design the recipe well, then you're good to go. But a lager does not have to be watered down. So that's why we decided, let's do an unfiltered lager. Let's keep the goodness in. And then I go to Black Hog and we contract brew, and it's just amazing to get creative with their team and, you know, pump out something that, again, the industry really hadn't seen.
Well, very cool. And with today being your birthday, I want you to hear this right now. Ready? Listen to this, Lisa. You hear that right there? I just popped the top on a Rhythm BGM Vanilla Porter. I'm very excited to taste this beverage. Talk about this beer being your birthday beer, and the can art is outstanding. This is a beautiful can.
Thank you. The purple, of course, it's February. It's, you know, amethyst. It's my birthday color. BGM, it's birthday girl magic, but, you know, it's a play on words. It's like black girl magic. It is a vanilla porter. I had this recipe tucked away in one of my magazines. It was in a magazine. And so I brought it to Tyler and, you know, the guys, and just said, listen, let's do this. But the flavor profile, it's just, you know, the vanilla just completely shines through on the back. And as you're sipping it right now.
It sure does. How about that? This is delicious.
Yeah.
You know,
it is delicious.
I think of porters as being a little heavier. This isn't heavy at all. This is nice.
And you know what? That's what we were going for. We didn't want the vanilla to be overpowered. So I love it. It's a really good porter.
It is.
It's a very smooth porter. It's, you know, it's light enough, but it's got that flavor profile that your palate wants.
It's delicious. And you're doing a big release for this tonight at Black Hog. So get over there, check it out. It's going to be amazing. Happy birthday to you, by the way, and thank you. It's such a pleasure to meet you. I just followed you on Instagram. I can't wait to have a few more beers of this. This is delicious. Lisa, you're awesome. We appreciate you. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
We'll
I appreciate it. Okay.
There she goes. And you guys can call in, too. The number is 888-720-WNPR. That's 888-720-9677. Tell us your favorite beers, your favorite breweries. You know, just what are you drinking right now? We'd love to hear all about those things. Give us a shout. Let us know. Let's take a quick call really quick, Tyler, before we jump back into a couple more things. I've got Jeff calling in right now. Jeff from Hamden, how are you?
Yeah, so I am, I'm a longtime home brewer. I'm a professor at Sacred Heart University in biology, and I'm also the director of our new Brewing Science program at Sacred Heart. And I thought your listeners might be interested to hear a little bit about that program.
This sounds incredible. Like I said, big-time science show. That's what we've got right now.
Yeah, and I love that you started out talking to Tyler about, it being an art and a science, because I really believe that. I mean, we teach the science, but to me, the science is just kind of the tools and the parameters within which you have to work in order to create something beautiful, right?
For sure.
So I'm a biologist, but also a musician, so I really love the art and science that's in brewing. Just to say a little bit about our program. Oh, and first, I wanted to say hi to my friends Lady Lager and Lord of the Liquid. Hey, Tyler.
Good to see you, Jeff.
Hi, Elisa. Happy birthday, Elisa.
There you go. Everyone has to have a cool nickname. Why's mine only Plum? That's terrible.
I don't even have one. I don't know.
Well, we should probably
anyhow,
Professor Hop.
That's a good one. I'll take it. So our program just started last year, and so we're going to graduate our first cohort of students in May, and then we start a new one in May. It's a one-year program. It's 22 credits, and it's designed to work around a working schedule, so it's kind of part-time. So like I said, 22 credits over 3 semesters. You learn about the business of brewing, you learn about the science, you learn a bunch of recipes, you get to do an internship at a local brewery. We can work outside of the state too if we pull people in from outside the state. We have an intern working with Tyler right now at Black Hog, and we have an intern working with Elisa at Rhythm.
Merle's actually here today. He just was able to see a kettle sour going on, and he's actually cleaning a tank right now, so we're doing great.
Man, how about that?
Awesome.
How about that? Well, Jeff, this is an amazing program. People should definitely check this out. Where can they find more information on this program at?
Yeah, you can find it at sacredheart.edu/brewing science.
I love it.
Yeah, and I also wanted to mention that, I've worked with Elisa on this committee where we're trying to fund an endowed scholarship for African-American brewers to come to our program.
Very cool.
And you can find more info about that at sacredheart.edu/blackbrewers.
Wow, how about that? Jeff, thank you very much for calling in and giving us that information. We really appreciate that. I love that there's programs like that out there. That's amazing. And honestly, Tyler, to be involved in that, who would have thought that's where we're at now? I just never would have thought, back in the day when you would drink the old Miller Lite or whatever, that now, there's a program at a college with interns. That's incredible.
For sure. I went to brewing school in 2006. So I was graduated University of New Hampshire chemical engineering. And then I wanted to get in the beer world, and I just started researching all of the websites out there and seeing all of these people that had brewing education from, at that point, the 2 places in the country were UC Davis or Siebel. So I did some research. I ended up going out to UC Davis and got my master brewer certificate out through them.
Wow.
But since then, there is it has exploded, and there's so many. There's now 4-year degrees in brewing science, and then places like Sacred Heart is able to have this really great intensive program that you're able to learn the brewing science behind the scenes and still work your day job if you want to follow your dream and become a brewer. So it's just the brewing education kind of has exploded along with the brewing craze. I don't want to call it craze. The brewing, the brewing experience, the people that are making great beer. And that's something where there was a big pop in the 90s where a lot of people were they saw that Sierra Nevada and
I remember.
They were making beer and oh, I can make beer.
I remember Magic Hat being a big thing. That was a big deal.
Hat, there was all these breweries
Saranac.
that opened up, and there was this big pop of breweries, but there were so many of those people who focused on trying to make widgets to make money,
right,
versus making quality beer.
Right.
So I feel that's why that first pop of the craft brewing industry really fizzled. But now this next what we're in right now, everyone who has been opening new breweries over the last 6, 7, 8, 9 years at this point, they're really focused on the quality of the liquid. And that's the number one focus, I think, of every brewer right now. It should be make the best quality liquid you possibly can.
100%.
And it'll sell itself.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what it really comes down to.
And there's some great beers in our state. Tyler, I think you said there's 100 and how many brewers now? 112?
125,
What?
I think. I don't know. I have to talk to the CT Brewers Guild to get the exact number. I know there was 12 or 14 or so in planning as of last year that I don't know if they're making yet. But yeah, we're 120, 125-ish right now.
Unbelievable. 120
Crazy,
some brewers in our state. And if you want to shout out some brewers in our state, give us a call here, 888-720-WNPR, 888-720-9677. And we can even talk about some of the women making great beer in the state. Listen, and I'll start that off. Joy Braddock from Hog River Brewing in Hartford, and Christina Sire of Brewery Legitimus.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
Legitimus. There we go.
Yeah.
I couldn't get it out. But in New Hartford, we see you, which is pretty cool. We're excited. Let's talk to Lisa here. She's in Middletown. Lisa, how are you? Welcome to Seasoned.
Hey, I just wanted to echo the caller who called in about Forest City in Middletown. They're amazing, and my wife in particular loves their Stargazer IPA. And their fresh blend cider is so good, I can't drink any other ciders anymore.
Oh, man.
They spoiled me for ciders.
Lisa, thank you for the tip. That's incredible. Tyler, it sounds like we got to jump on the board here, man.
Yeah, Stargazer, they're making some good stuff for sure. Cider-wise, I didn't know that Forest City was making cider. The cider I drink mostly is all from my hometown of Wallingford. You get the Connecticut cider company there that's making some really great cider. But yeah, I honestly, apparently I got to go try Forest City because I haven't tried any of their liquid yet, which I'm like super excited to try.
Mike from Somers, go ahead. Mike, you with us?
Hey, thanks for having me on.
There he is.
Yeah, I'm here. I just want to shout out my favorite brewery in East Windsor, which is Problem Solve Brewing Company.
Okay.
They're just a great bunch of guys there. I like them because they always have a wide variety of stuff on. You know, we were talking about like the IPA train earlier. You know, they certainly do have their IPAs, but they have a great variety of sours. Right now they got a black lager on. It's like my favorite beer they've ever made. I just love that place.
That's fantastic. I got to check those guys out. I haven't checked them out yet. Have you ever heard of those guys or tried any of their stuff, Tyler?
Yeah, I mean, I have heard of them. I mean, I have 2 children at home, so it's hard for me to get out and about.
Heard that.
And, but yeah, it's crazy. But no, they're I have heard of them, which is great. I haven't tried their beer yet.
All right, excellent. We got a couple minutes here before break. Let's jump to Matt in Newtown. Matt, welcome to Season. What you got for us?
Hey, how's it going? I was interested to hear that Elisa from Blackhawk was interested in making something besides an IPA. And I'm kind of in the minority. I don't really like IPAs. To me, it almost tastes like off bug spray.
Oh.
And I was wondering if it's like, you know, some people hate cilantro. You know, any IPA I drink, that's what it tastes like to me. Are there other people like me out there?
Interesting comment. Elisa's from Rhythm Brewing, actually. She's different. She's partnering up with the guys over at Black Hog. But, you know, that's an interesting thought. And I wouldn't mind talking about that a little bit when we get back from break here, Tyler, because I have thoughts on IPAs as well. How about you?
No, for sure. I mean, there's a slew of different IPAs. IPA just stands for India Pale Ale.
Yeah. Like
the different characteristics that were within IPAs. Are you talking like a classic West Coast? You're talking like the new school East Coast IPAs?
Well, there's a whole lot there.
Style IPAs or the CT IPAs. I mean, there's a whole slew of different things to get into within IPAs. So I am excited to talk about IPAs after the break.
Well, there's a whole lot there to unpack, that's for sure. We're going to take a quick break. If you have a beer or food pairing question you want to ask Tyler, 888-727-9677 or 888-720-WNPR. When we get back, it's going to be phone calls, food, and beer. I'm Chef Plum. We'll be right back. Stay right there. Welcome back to Season. I'm Chef Plum, and today I am flying solo, at least in the hosting booth. Marisol will be back next week. She's taking care of some business that she had to handle for work. Tyler Jones is my guest for the hour. He is the master brewer at Black Hog Brewing in Oxford and New Haven, which means he's behind some of the best beer in the state. You can talk to him right now if you like. Call 888-720-9677 or 888-720-WNPR. Listen, Tyler, I got to tell you, before the break, we were talking a little bit about IPAs, and I want you to hear what I'm about to do right now. This is it. Ready? There we go. I just opened.
That sounds like a good snap.
Hey, how about that? I just opened a hazy ale from Black Hog. I want to talk about it because IPAs and me, not always best friends.
Yeah, I mean, IPA as a style is you're going to go way back where it was invented. Basically, the IPA stands for India Pale Ale.
Right.
So when the English were invading India back in the day, they had to make these beer that would survive the trip from England all the way Cape Horn all the way into India. So they added a little higher ABV. They added hops, which are a preservative, to like make this like because traditional, like at that point, English beer was this low ABV pub ales, you know, like low ABV ale, not very hop forward,
right,
just easy drinking beers. So they added these over the top hops and then a little higher ABV, and that preserved these beers that would make the trip all the way to India. You know, then they started colonizing it well enough. They started making breweries in India, and then all the sailors were like, hey, this beer was great. All these hops are great. Let's add a little bit extra. So, I mean, the traditional English style IPA kind of was invented because of that. Us as Americans took that traditional English style IPA and made it quote unquote extreme. We're over the top, dry hopping, cooled, whirlpooled, and making this what like kind of the traditional like West Coast IPA was like trying to get the most IBUs, the international bittering units. I can get a big soapbox about that in a minute, but we'll talk about that in a second. But as many IBUs as you could get within a beer, which quote unquote was how many hops you could jam into a beer, and make this over the top crazy IPA that was super bitter,
yeah,
was super hop forward, was super aromatic.
I felt like for a little bit of time there, Tyler, we were just trying to see how bitter we could make a beer.
Yeah, and bitterness is such the truth, like the God honest truth is like everyone talks about like how many IBUs are in your beer. Like an IBU is taking a sample of beer, diluting it by a factor of 10, putting it in a mass spectrometer at 460 nanometers. And how much it refracts is how many IBUs. Who cares? Like the IBUs don't matter. Like the IBUs are something as a brewer you want to be able to know so that you can then replicate that beer year to year, because every year you're using different hops that have different alpha acid components, and then those different percentages of alpha acids, depending on how much your boil, is going to create different IBUs. So it's basically IBUs are good for the brewer to be able to recreate that beer consistently year to year to year with different crop years of hops.
I love the fact that on this program we just said nanometers. Like, that makes me so happy.
Nanometers, yes. So the thing is that what people taste isn't IBUs. What people taste is perceived bitterness. And a perceived bitterness has a lot of other factors that come into it. The only way to really get like an actual perceived bitterness scale within a beer is you have a trained tasting panel who have like been trained in all the off flavors within beer, have been trained with what beers taste with, and they do what's called the spiderweb graph. And then you have this beautiful graph, and then you can combine all together and get like a perceived bitterness of the beer. So like how bitter a beer tastes has a factor of like how much residual unfermentable sugar is left in the beer, how much body's in that beer. And that's something where like the New England style IPA really went off and really created this own subset of IPA where they were adding a ton of hops. They were adding a lot of them post fermentation. Basically the bitter flavor of a beer officially is an isomerized alpha acids. Alpha acid is a component of the hops. The heat isomerizes, changes the chemical structure, and an isomerized alpha acid tastes bitter. So that's where you get in bitterness, is the heat adding into the oil of that hop component. But if you add hops into late within the boil and or within the fermenter, you're using the heat of the boil and or the alcohol of the beer to extract the hop flavor and the hop aromatic oils. So you're going to get this really great hop aromatic, this really great hop flavor. There's no bitterness there.
Yeah.
Like there's officially no bitterness on the palate that are created chemically doing that process. So you're able to add this tons and tons and tons of hops without adding bitterness. And then the New England style IPA went to the extreme again beyond that, adding flaked oats and flaked wheats and lactose in some cases, and creating this really luscious, soft mouthfeel to then counterbalance all these hot flavors. So then they created this new style. It's a New England style IPA, this hazy IPA. And then hazy itself, what you're drinking, kind of Connecticut has its own little subsection of the New England style IPA in my mind, where it is hazy, it's low IBUs, it's low bitterness. There's no bitterness to that beer.
There's none in this beer. It's delicious. It's smooth. It's easy. I mean, at least in my opinion. I mean, maybe a little bit of bitterness, I guess, but it's not overpowering. I got a question for you coming from Southbury from
go ahead.
A friend named Juice. Juice, welcome to season. What you got for Tyler?
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Hey, Tyler, big fan of your barley wine and your Leave the Mark stout.
Thank you.
Yeah, just quick question. Is there any plans to do some double IPAs with maybe some Vic Secret or some Galaxy hops in 2021?
Yes. I mean, right now in the tank, as of 2 days ago, I just put in the Rainbow Gravy, which is our double IPA with Galaxy hops that we added Fruity Pebbles to. So it's a...
Wait, did you say Fruity Pebbles? Like the cereal, Fruity Pebbles?
The cereal. Yeah, for sure. We added Fruity Pebbles to that. So, I mean, we got a Galaxy double IPA called Rainbow Gravy coming out very shortly. But I love to hear that you love the barley wine, the Bacchanalian barley wine. Like that's my opus. Like that is the nice. Perfect blend of hops and malt and yeast all together to create this 11.5%, 12% beer that drinks like it's 4%, and it's just that's one of those things where it's like making that not going to sell in distribution, which is sad. There's not a lot that like the amount of people that want to buy that beer is small, so you have to make that in smaller quantities and have it being tasting room only to be able to sell it. And that's kind of where, I mean, I said earlier in the program, I mean, brewing is 50% art and 50% science. Since now I own a brewery, it's like 50% art, 50% science, and 50% business. And now we're up to 50% somehow, 150%. So it's like depending which hat you're wearing and what's going on and stuff like that. So, I mean, the Bacchanalian barley wine literally is like, that was my first professional recipe ever.
Wow. How
was
about that?
Was a barley wine at Portsmouth Brewery when I was able to design it myself. And it's one of those recipes that you can only make once a year. Because it takes that long to sell out. And like you have a full year to think about it and tweak it and then makes the next batch. So I've been that recipe I was working on for over a decade before Black Hog even started. And but now I haven't made it in 2 years. I need to make it again.
Sounds like it. It's got fans, so it sounds like you should make it again.
Let's
for sure.
Do it.
Absolutely. Rory in Hartford, what you got for us?
Hey, Tyler, it's Rory from Small State Great Beer.
Hey, how are you?
Happy to hear you. Good. So like we have a beer festival that we run in downtown Hartford, and it's so strange, to be living through this time and to not be able to gather the beer community, but just wanted to say hi and, loving the fact that we live in such a small state where we can visit multiple breweries on a weekend and, celebrate the community and hoping to be able to have the festival, at some point soon.
I am so excited for beer festivals to come back. I mean, that is like
both.
I mean, they're so much fun to be able to like go to a festival. Like, I mean, if you've never been to Small State Great Beer, go to that. I mean, the next time we have it, hopefully this year. But it's just like you're able to just go around and try a whole bunch of different beers from a whole bunch of different breweries within the state, and it's just you get to experience what's going on within your state and really experience what people are making. And it's just. I get a lot of great ideas when I go to beer festivals, so
Absolutely.
I'm excited for the next one for sure.
They are so fun, and that one sounds great. Tyler, I want to get a quick a speed round with you here because I have a couple of questions I want to get in. We've got a few minutes left in the show, so we're gonna go speed round. Okay, let's talk about why brewers cringe when they see orange slices in people's beer.
NFL baby. So brewing beer with fruit is great. I mean, in fermentation, you ferment it out, whatever. If you're actually adding an orange slice on the side of your glass, the oils from that orange or that fruit or that lemon or whatever you're adding are actually getting into your beer and killing your head retention of your beer. And brewers spend a lot of time creating this beautiful liquid that has a great protein content. And then hopefully the bar/bartenders have these beautiful glasses that will hold this beautiful head on your beer. And the head on the beer is going to create all this aromatic while you're drinking it, much better like drinking experience while you're drinking your beer. The second you throw that slice of fruit on the side of it, all the oils of that fruit get in there, kill all your head retention. You have this flat, boring beer, and it's just gross.
It changes the beer. It destroys it for sure.
Yeah.
Hey,
NFL, no effing lemon is kind of what I say when I enter, any sort of beer. NFL,
I love it.
NFL.
It. Hey, listen, if you guys couldn't get through today, I promise you we're going to do another beer show here in the future. Connecticut beers are definitely becoming a thing. We gave an ask on the Instagram to find out about what brewery shout-outs you guys would like, and some of the responses, we've got 5 Churches, of course, Black Hog got tons, Nebco, No Worries, Back East, Thomas Hooker, Front Porch, Hoax, Little Brewing, Fat Orange Cat. And then for winter brews, you like Weeder Chocolate Covered Strawberry. I've never had that one. Allagash Beers, Hog River Brews, Back East Winterfest. That is a great beer itself. And then, of course, for creative beer names, you liked All the Cats Are Gray in the Dark, Brewport and Bridgeport. That's a great spot, too. Love that place. And, of course, the Imperial Stout Trooper. Another great beer right there. I like that one a lot. Tyler, listen, I got to tell you, man, you guys have just watching you grow and seeing what's happened with Black Hog has been really, really inspiring. I love to see where the Connecticut beer community has what it's become. And I had no idea there was 120-some brewers now.
Yeah, it's crazy.
We got about a minute left here with you. Aspiring brewers, what would you tell them?
I would tell them go work somewhere for free. Like go work there, like literally show up every day, learn the process. Brewing needs to be a passion. You need to learn it from someone. You need to know what's going on. And it's a trade. You got to learn from a master and then be able to process that through it. For sure.
Yeah, 100%. I think you're absolutely right. Working for free sometimes means you'll learn more because you take more home with you because you're not getting paid for it. But listen, that's what a lot of chefs do in the culinary world as well. You go and you work for free. It's called a stage. It's not a weird thing to have happen, that's for sure. Hey, before we get out of here, I want everyone to know Blackhawk's Tap Room officially opens up to customers again tonight with all the COVID safety measures in place, so don't worry about that, but make sure you wear a mask. Its table service is only going to be 50% capacity indoors with lots of extra tables and heaters outside, and it's beautiful outside, so you got to get out there and check it out. If you go, our friend Elisa, who we met today, will be there talking and celebrating this beautiful vanilla porter, which is delicious, by the way, Tyler. She's going to be out there. Go hang out with her. Go say hi to her. Talk to her. Go say hey to Tyler. I know he's heading over there. You're probably already there now, aren't you?
I'm here right now. Let's do this.
Yeah. He's already there. Make sure you give him a shout. Go say what's up to him. Holler at him. Try, if you haven't done so yet, and I'm telling you, this might be my new favorite beer, the Hog Lager. This beer is one of the most flavorful lagers I've ever tasted in my life. So get out there, taste it. Hey, go say hi to Tyler. Thanks for all the beer knowledge that he dropped on us today, for sure. I mean, say what's up to him. Taste this porter. Get out there, Black Hog Brewing Company, and I tell you what, Tyler, we can't appreciate you more. We thank you for coming on and taking the time with us today.
Great, and hopefully we'll be on again soon.
I look forward to it. Also, a big shout out and thanks to our new friend, Elisa Bowens-Mercado of Rhythm Brewing Company in New Haven. Keep making Connecticut an excellent place to find interesting beers to drink, and happy birthday to you as well. Hey, visit this week's show on ctpublic.org/season for all the beers we talked about in breweries. And of course, Season is produced by Robyn Doyon-Aitken and Catie Talarski. Thanks to Carmen Baskoff for handling the phones, Meg Fitzgerald, and Courtney Dorso for handling the social media. And of course, thanks to you guys. We'll see you next week.